Thank you everybody for participating in a chanting for tonight. And anyone who is from out of Portland, for probably mostly from Nepal or maybe from Hong Kong. So good morning to everybody from other part of the world in Portland.
Good evening from Washington State.
Very good. Good evening. So normally from the 2 weeks ago, what we were doing is this month, starting from July 21 to August 28th, is a one whole month. According to our Nepalese calendar, Nepal Sambat 1140. So this month is the 9th month of our calendar. And then this month is dedicated to the Buddha teachings, Buddha philosophy, Buddha chanting, and all kinds of Buddha related activities. So people in Kathmandu, usually they go early morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, and from every corner of the village, Bihara, so they go to visit Swayambhu. Swayambhu is the place where most of the Buddhist people go over there for getting spirit. So once we started from the first day of the month, and everybody, so we did this on the first day of month because it was in the morning over there. So we did in this time of the day. So it was still not exactly the same month started, but because it started in Nepal on the morning and then we did it over here. So some people from Nepal joined to us what we were chanting, the Nama Sangati. So that's how it starts. Those who are not familiar with these activities today, I would like to introduce myself. So I am Daya Shakya. So I have been connected with Bihar since its beginning. So from the consecration, and before that, I know Prajal very well for a long time. So we together doing some Buddhist activities and then started talking about all these things. I also published a journal of Newah studies that is called the Newah Buddhism. You can view that journal in Cambridge University at digitalhimalaya.com. When you go to the journal categories, you will see the Newah Buddhism, and then that's my activity. So I have been doing this for a long time, but recently because of my schedule, I could not continue from 2011. Now the activities of here, what we are doing right now. So I would like to interview some of you. We have already done 4 people, and then we are more to go every Tuesday until we finish the whole group. So this is what I'll, and today chanting continue on and on. So there's no end of the chanting on every Tuesday at this time of the day. So today we are scheduled to invite 2 people, one from Portland and then one from outside Portland. So I do not know the other person, but I know Josh. Josh is here, right?
Yes, I'm here, Daya.
Yeah, so not basically, this is not something very academic kind of questions I have, but it's very simple questions you have.
For sure.
So each person I give you 15 minutes maximum, or maybe a little more than that, or maybe less than 15 minutes. So the first question, usually you introduce yourself and where you from and where you were born and how long you have been in Portland, and how you connected with the Nitya Mandala Bihara, and also what you will learn. All these things in a very short time, so maybe you can spend about 3 or 4 minutes only on your introduction. So I have set only 4 questions for today. So all 4 questions has a different aspect to know how much you have learned from coming to Bihara and connecting with Persula and then with all of us, and also for joining with the chanting like this. So since I saw you many times, it's the Charya Gita, Charya song also, you have done that many times. So I was very much impressed because of your way of chanting in Sanskrit and way of your doing the the redeem of the chanting and all this thing. It was perfect. So I kind of thought about in my mind, this is the guy I need to talk to you. So then I talked to Prajal, and then Prajal gave me the permission that he's okay. So that means I put you on the schedule, and then Sasa, we are talking to you. So anyone who wants to know the question, please unmute. Please mute, and then only we 2 will be unmute. The first question, what I have just for you, please give your full name. Please introduce yourself, showing where you are from, how long you have been in Portland, and how you came to know about Nitya Mandala Mahabihara or with Prajal. So this is the first question, please. Go ahead, please. 3-4 minutes.
Yes, absolutely. So my name is Joshua Bailey Proto. I was originally born in Oakland, California, and came to Portland, Oregon in 2012 for school, for college. And it was, so now it being 2020, I've been in Portland for about 8 years. And I actually knew of Prajwal and the Nityananda Mahavihara before I started regularly coming to it, because it was in college around 2016 I started singing Indian classical music with my teacher and his guru lineage, Ben Pandit Pranath and Kirana Gurana. And he had performed a few times, Michael Sterling had performed a few times at the Vihara. And I, from the moment I stepped into it, I could tell that this was a very special place. Like, and anyone who comes to the Vihara can tell you, it has a certain feeling to it. And, besides the feel, I think it's definitely like a feeling of peace. And even the animals seem to be a bit more peace. The squirrels running around and frogs sort of croaking. And as the seasons go, it has a very powerful energy to it. And it was only until I would say about, a year ago, I always had a connection with Buddhism, had this idea that I wanted to, have a teacher in the Dharma and have it be something that's a larger part of my life. And with this tradition of singing, I also sort of was reconnected that, Newah Buddhism has a strong tradition of Charya Giti. And so I had an opportunity just to meet Prajwal at an event of the Buddhists in the park, and I asked him about Charya Giti, and I remember he was like, "How do you know about Charya Giti?" It's like, well, I was like, who is this person? It's like, well, I'm a student of Michael. I understand, these spiritual practices of sound and dance and music are very sacred. And, asked him, like, could I maybe begin learning the Charya Giti? And, him and Helen Appel sort of gave me some things to try. And, within the first couple sessions, they sort of accepted me as the temple singer. And I've been doing that just a little bit over a year now. But, funny enough, I'd say it seems like I've been doing it a lot longer. I think there's at least 34 songs, something like that, at a moment's notice, if you tell me to sing it, I'll sing it. And then Prajwal's around, he can dance it. So we're always ready to perform and transform into the deities at a moment's notice. And that's something that, I really love.
Wow.
Amazing.
So that means you are definitely a special person for us to have, because you have offered to do some chanting and then also asked Prajwal to do some dancing. So maybe we'll do that some of the day, maybe the last day of this chanting, we'll do that sometime, that kind of similar activity, so that the other people who are joining here, so probably know that you are one of the a special person who can participate and join for the chanting. Thank you, Josh, for your introduction. Now I know, because I didn't know about you everything. So that means, now I'm proud of, know you more than, what I knew before. So my next question is, some of them already have mentioned that, when you see activities of Nitya Mandala Mahavihara, so what was your first impression that you just step in the first time in a Bihara, and then your first impression of being in a Bihara and then activities going on and Prajwal is doing something, and then you saw the surrounding, you saw the temple, you saw the statue, you saw the Buddha, all inside, outside. What was your first impression? Is there something you knew before, or maybe it was completely new for you? Please go ahead.
So there were some things that seemed similar. I had experienced many different temples of Japanese Mikyo Vajrayana. That is a background I had before in my practice of martial arts that I had done. I'd actually gone to Japan, pilgrimage to Mount Fuji, and seen some of the temples on the mountain. And so there were certain things that were familiar. My dad's also a Hindu, and so certain parts of ritual which were similar. But I would say that, although there were similarities, I think there's definitely differences. And I'd say probably one of the biggest differences that I saw was, just how connected, 100% how connected Prajwal, but also all the pujaris are when they are doing the ritual. You can tell there's a meaningful connection. Like, that's one thing that's talked about a lot in the practice at the temple, is just how to have the inner meanings of everything that we're doing, and to have those motivations and then the dedications of why everyone is doing it. So I think it was very clear that was something that was very important to the temple, that I could just immediately notice as different, that stood out.
Yes, thank you. I have noticed that you also do the daily rituals like a Nitya Puja.
Mhm.
So when you, did you volunteer to come forward or Prozul asked you to do the Nitya Puja? What was the sequence at the time? So is that something very different for you? Because is it something you were confused like what to do? Oh my God, I can do it or not, that kind of thing. Does it things happen to you when you started doing the Nitya Puja?
I don't think there's ever a moment where I thought that, oh, I couldn't do it or I couldn't learn how to do it. In that sort of way, I think, for me, you know, I had definitely like wanted to do it. And I talked to Prajwal, and there's a traditional set of initiations that have to happen. And then I remember there was a time when Prajwal was traveling and there weren't enough pujaris to do the ritual. And I was like, I wish I would do it. You're out of town, but there wasn't enough people and I couldn't do it because I didn't have the initiation. And so it's like, it would be very practical if we could do the initiations and do that. And I think it was beginning of this year at the New Year's, I was able to receive it. And I think, I think it was really helpful for me to have gone and seen the Nitya Puja so many times before getting the initiation, because I think, I don't know, in Western world, in America or Western culture, there's a lot of desire for like, now I want it now. But there's something about a process of learning and a process of deep understanding and wisdom that comes with, taking your time and appreciating, I'd say the feeling of it and the process of it. And, I will say that I'll let my teacher's actions, I'll let Prajwal's actions sort of, guide a little bit as far as like, if I feel like I'm doing it well. I think he watched me do it a couple times. I think it was like the first couple times he was like, Josh did a great job. He can definitely do it. And then, I was happy to be able to, now he would come in and Dina would come in and they get to relax and don't have to do it and just, get to meditate and focus on it. So I'm glad I'm able to do that.
Wow, you are so much blessed that now you can perform as usually in Nepal in this kind of a temple. So usually it goes to from one person to another person for one whole week, because here the limit is very, people are very limited in Bihara. So since you have already taken the responsibility of doing one day in a week, so that would be because the Nitya Puja is one of the necessary activities in any kind of a Bihara like this. So at night and the ritual, and then in the morning as a ritual, just like human beings. I mean, we need to get up and do some washing, all these things, and go to bed, do something before we go to bed. These things are very usual because the Bihara statue, the Buddha is alive, of the life kind of, personifies kind of. That's why everything needs to be done. If it is not done, then what happens? Actually, there is no liveness. So that's why it has to be done. Thank you, just participating the ritual. So the next question I have, so since now I know that you also have experience of study of the other kind of a religious activity, probably you already mentioned that Japan and someone Hindu and your father is already a Hindu.
Mhm.
So that means knowing that kind of what you have already in the past activities, and right now you are joining the Buddhism. This Buddhism is something significantly different than anything you were seeing in other places, or is it something similar to what you find is? What was the significant difference you found in this kind of Buddhism?
Sure. So I think, and also growing up, I was raised a Roman Catholic, and so was my dad. And I think, Catholics like to talk a lot about, they talk a lot about sin as like sort of like the big thing of the religion and what they're always sort of fighting against. And for me, I was always attracted to Buddhism because I like the focus on suffering and finding methods to liberate oneself from suffering. And then specifically, I think one thing I've really seen different in my experience of Newah Buddhism at the temple is the importance of definitely the three jewels, the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, but definitely the
Yes.
Sangha and the community as like the ground base of how you can implement and live a dharmic life. Like if you're not able to make peace and live in harmony with your neighbors and your friends and your family, then you're not living the Dharma. Then you're not actually doing any, like, you can do all the ritual and mantra and sadhana that you want, but if you still can't be in right relationship with your family and your friends, then something is a little bit wrong. And so I think that's something that is very much emphasized, even if not explicitly, also just culturally within the culture of the Vihara and all the people who come here. I think that's a very rare to find, because I've been to other Dharma centers and other places, and sometimes it's I'm very grateful for the community and the many layers of teachings and instruction that we have.
So your emphasis on the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha is the one of the most significant, significant values of the Newah Buddhism, right? So that means now we as a group in this group, once we started doing the interview, now I see the number is growing also because people wanted to hear what we do in the Nitya Mahavihara and how activities we are doing over there. So these things are more like impressive kind of activities we are doing. So hopefully it will be continued again.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to give some significant, the Newah Buddhism is something different than what we see most of the time in the Western world, because the Western world is kind of more known by the Buddhism came from the Tibet area, and then somehow because even though our path is the same, but the approach or the method or the process is a little bit different than what you have seen in other places. So as a core value of within 1 minute, if you want to describe what is Newah Buddhism, or maybe what is Nepalese Buddhism, that is not you have seen before, what in one word or in maybe not one word, maybe 1 minute, can you describe Newah Buddhism? This is what Newah Buddhism is all about in 1 minute.
Yeah, I would say in one word, I would say it's the paramita. It's the 10 perfections. Every single morning in the Nitya Puja, we sing the 10 perfections, and I think it's something that, if you're doing it every day, it is something that you're constantly reminding yourself, like, this is what it means to be a bodhisattva for yourself and for all beings in this lifetime and in all future and all past. And it's this just aspirational desire to help all beings. But I think it's like the secrets of everything of Newah Buddhism is right in there if you study it and you can see it.
Well, thank you so much. So this is what Buddhism is all about, because since you were born in the Western side of the world and we were born in East, but we are collectively as a one Sangha.
Yes.
That Sangha probably because we believe on what we have planted in the past, and when we plant the paddy, you cannot grow the corn, right? It will be a rice, it will be something. So same way, if we do the good job in this life, and then probably we will have a good life in the coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it's all about. There's no sin in Buddhism, but once you do it that like one action, and then that action has a reaction.
Mm-hmm.
So it is experiential kind of a Buddhism we have. So right now, what we understand. Thank you so much for your time. Definitely, it's a very valuable for your input. And then also the people who are here as a Sangha, so they also should have learned something which is, probably never thought about this kind of thing. So, okay, thank you. So next I'm gonna invite Eliza, right? So I don't know how to pronounce correctly your name. I was given only Eliza, so that's also.
Yeah.
So please make sure that your battery is on. Last time we were out of battery, so somehow it disconnected in the middle of a conversation. So same question I have for you as I asked to Joshua. Please introduce yourself, showing actually where you are from and how long you have known to Prajwal, and also how you are connected with the Nitya Mandala Mahavihara, even though you are not here in Portland, but you are from far away in Hong Kong, and that you are still connected with us. So that is one of the great achievements for us to know that you are interested in Newah Buddhism or the Nepalese Buddhism. So I would like to give you 3 minutes to describe who you are and then all these things in 3 minutes. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Daya. Yes, my name is Eliza Lau. Lau is my last name. I'm from Hong Kong. I've lived in Hong Kong all my life, basically. And how did I? Well, it was actually through the Charya dance I came to know Prajwal. It was Leanne Hunt, one of Prajwal's major students who came to Hong Kong like 6-7 years ago, and then she started teaching Charya dance. And my friend Tina, she's also here today. Got to know Leanne and learn from her. And then I knew that Tina's one of my best friends, so I knew that Tina was doing something that's different. But then at the time, I was learning meditation from Tibetan master, Mingyur Rinpoche. So I'm learning meditation and so on. So I'm mainly in the Tibetan Buddhism. So I didn't do much except I heard from Tina from time to time many wonderful things that she's been doing. And then I noticed something in Tina, which is a little bit, she's changing. She's a little bit different from before. And I thought, this dance is doing some good to you. So I said, who's your teacher? So she introduced me to Leanne. And the first lesson with Leanne, I remember, was very stunning. Like I was like completely, I don't know how to describe it. I thought, wow, this is not a dance. This is meditation. This is into myself.
Yes.
So I joined the class, and I learned from Leanne for a year. And then, unfortunately, she had to leave Hong Kong because her family is going to move away. So I thought, oh, that's it then. And then, but then after Leanne left, a few months later, she told us that her teacher, Proto, will be coming to Hong Kong. And I said, whoa. So then it was the beginning of 2019 that Tina and I and Carrie, he's also here today. So we managed to invite Prajo to Hong Kong. And that was the first time I met Prajo. And I didn't tell him, I don't think. And I thought I was expecting some sort of like guru dressed in funny clothes, standing in the airport. But then he was such an ordinary man when I see him like 5:30 in the morning at the airport. And I thought, this is interesting. And so we were hosts, so we were with Prajo all the 7 days. And to be honest, I was so impressed by him. Especially when he is not in all those gears. He's such an ordinary man, but I can really see peace and love like radiating from him, from little things like eating together, walking in the park and talking, and he's so like down to earth. So I firmly believe that this is teaching. This is what Buddhism is all about. So and then after he left, I decided that I will continue learning. And then somehow I have the feeling that I want to go to the States, to the Vihara, to see. So I said to Tina, is it possible? And then after some arrangement, and Prajo said yes. So I went in June that year and stayed in the Vihara and Prajo's place for 9 days and met the Sangha. And it was a really wonderful experience. The feeling was like, it's very funny. I've never been to Portland. I've never been to such a vihara. But my feeling once I stepped into that temple, I felt like going home. It's very funny, the feeling of going home. It's so comfortable. I can be there all day. You know, it's like, yeah, very comfortable, very like at ease with myself. So I love that place. And since then, we've been keeping contact and learning from Prajo on Zoom. Yeah.
Wow, I did not know that you were already here in Portland. And then in the month of June is a very hot time. So
Yes.
because when you go, if you come in a winter time or some other time, you don't enjoy the weather very much because it's rain all the time. So now I know that you came here in the month of June, and it was one of the lovely time, we call it the summertime. So summertime is very good in Portland area. So thank you for giving your introduction. So definitely, I did not know all these details, and it was very impressive. I really like to, thank you for, coming to Portland and also knowing Prajo and then dedicating your time to come to join this chanting and all these things. So definitely there's something you learn already from him and also connecting with the Vihara. So when you first met Prajo, you already described that he's a simple man. He's not a guru like other guru people, right? So that was my impression that you already said to me. So when you enter the Vihara, that means when you see the activities of Nitya Mandala Mahavihara, what was your first impression? Just wanted to describe maybe 30 seconds or maybe 1 minute if you need, just to describe your first impression coming to the Vihara here in Portland.
I just as I said, I felt like I came home.
Even though you left home, but you came home again, right? In
That is
Portland.
what it is. Yes, I left home, but I seem to go home again. It's that feeling.
Very good. So that was a good impressions. So until now, you have been you have learned so much, about the Buddhism, not only also from Brazil, also in other part of the world and other kind of Buddhism, and you have learned probably more, more, from many places. So compared to those you have already known before before New Brazil, and then after knowing Brazil, what kind of a difference you have found in between Brazil's, activities and the activities you have already known before? Do you think there's some similarity, or maybe it was not similar, or maybe something different? And how would you describe that, in between two different aspects of Buddhism? You know already before, and then after you know Brazil, there's some kind of similarity, dissimilarity, or any significant value. Could you describe a little bit on that, please?
Yes, actually, when I first got to know Buddhism, I was a Catholic, Roman Catholic, when I was
Okay.
young.
Yes.
And then I went to university. I studied philosophy and all that. And then I couldn't really stick to that religion for long, and I became atheist for some time.
Okay.
And then I got to, and then and for some, the ups and downs in life kind of forced me back into
Yeah, that's
some kind
possible.
of
Yeah.
like thinking about life again. And my first contact was Theravada, actually.
Okay.
I learned from the Theravada tradition meditation in that first time. And then the Chinese Buddhism, and then the Tibetan Buddhism.
Okay.
So I have like quite a few different sort of like aspects
Right.
of learning. And then if you ask me, are they common? I say yes. It's that thing. Every religion, every school, they're actually moving on to getting to know what is deep inside ourselves, who we really are, to find out who we really are, and to connect back to that originally complete self that I am. So yes, so they have all a similar strand, so to speak. But of course, their practice and their emphasis are all very different. And the more I learn from these teachers, I feel that the very important thing is not just what they say, but what they do in life. So I can consider myself very lucky. I've got many very, very good teachers. And I've been staying with them and learning from them. And I observe that they actually do what they say. And that is most impressive. And so for me, Newah Buddhism is again a very special, a very, very down-to-earth way of life. But then in every single like little moment in life, this remembrance of like getting back to your original self, getting back to finding out who you are, is right there. So this way of life must be on earth for a long, 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 long time, that people have accumulated all these experience and way of life to get back to that truth, that it's very impressive. And among all the, yes, the Tibetans as well, but the Newah Buddhists definitely, every single strand of their life, I can see there is this element there, this element of wisdom and kindness and generosity and openness there, which is something that make me stay and won't leave.
Thank you so much. So have you been to Nepal?
Yeah, many times.
Many times. Okay, now you know more than, because so definitely this is what so if we do some kind of a international gathering of Newah Buddhist scholars, not the Newah like I am and also like you are, So if we do presentation, if we do some kind of a gathering of the Newah Buddhist scholars around the world, do you think, are you able to do some presentation of what you have learned in the future? We are thinking about that in the future. So probably this would be you could be another, good presenter for the making awareness that what is the Newah Buddhism is all about, and also the making sure that people understand the Newah Buddhism is about, because what you have described right now is one of the best example that I have seen from the group, that you know how to describe the Newah Buddhism. So
definitely, if there is a chance for me to contribute to share with people what I've learned, I'm more than delighted to do so.
I mean, I have so many questions, but you have already answered. So I don't have further questions. So the time is limited. What I have put the time for, I asked Proto to, about half an hour time for, both interviews. But definitely you have already answered all the questions I have written down over here. Thank you very much for joining us. So next week we have 2 more people, and every week we will have. So we want to announce the next time will be Leanne. I don't know whether she's available, and also Tanmaya. So Tanmaya and Leanne will be next time in the next week at this time of the day. So we'll be asking the same question: how much they are connected, how much they have learned, and what is the significant difference between the other Buddhism and the Newah Buddhism. We would like to spread out the word of Newah Buddhism in western side of world. So that's what is our goal is all about, because in Nepal, probably a lot of people is being kind of like diluted with the other kind of activities. But here, we wanted to show this is the Newah Buddhism. So this is the significance of Newah Buddhism. We would like to spread out the word. Okay, so thank you. I want to turn to Prasad for now. So please on record,